All right, so I just need to find that the controls for the Zoom. It's somewhere hiding. I don't know where it goes. There we go. Share screen. Okay. Setup complete. Who do we have with us today? Let's have a look. Juan, Allison, Darcy, Dante, Kay, and Stuart. Hello, everybody. As today is about you, and we're going to talk to your concerns first. From there, unravel what it is that we can help clarify for you, and then, of course, bring resolution to it. Okay, so let's kick off. Juan, tell us, how's trading for you? What are you struggling with? Mr. Juan Suazo, if I say your name right. What are you struggling with, man? How's trading? Okay, maybe he's suffering with microphone there. Brett with the double T. How's trading for you, my friend? Yep, loud and clear. Nice. That's a great point. I would love to jump into that answer immediately, but I think maybe others might have something along those lines as well. As guys, I did like a super long video yesterday, and 10 minutes in, the whole video cut. And that actually speaks to patience and how to overcome it and all these good things. Anyway, I think I'm just sharing a bit of my heartache again, as it would have helped so much with this and it would have been out already. Okay, great. Brett is saying that patience in terms of getting into a trade, waiting for the trade to mature, as well as the lot size being something that he will get a bit of a larger appetite than he should around. I can bring that back to something pretty profound. So stay on the line. Brett, thanks for calling in. We'll definitely get around to that. Yo, I don't disagree with that, because the 2 minutes is a very different animal. It's the difference between hanging out with a toddler and hanging out with a teenager. So the 2 minutes, in terms, okay, I just want to answer that real quick on that. The 2 minutes is a great way to find more opportunities for those day traders who would like to optimize on what the market has to offer more frequently. With that said, the 32 minutes still and always will remain the cleanest cycle of the lot, bar none. So the 32 should always be the default hunting ground, okay? The 32 minutes can really help the 2 minutes in that the 2 minutes doesn't need to have every turning point traded. And I guess that's true for all time frames with the MTOPS setups. Of course, as you go through into the different components of the turning points, there are some that balance out the energy, and then there's the more aggressive ones. As we know, as you've heard me speak about, rather, 0 is a multiplier or a contractor. 5 is also a point of energy, and so is 7. 7's a wild card. If you make 3 trades a cycle, simply trade those 3 turning points, either the feed up or the aftermath of 10, same for 5, same for 7, just depending on which way the trend is going, and of course what the price action shape is telling you from the higher frames. 2 minutes, you don't have to dump, but you can just aim to do 3 trades a cycle. And 2 minutes a bar, 5 bars is 10 minutes, okay? Whatever the math is after that, I can't do math right now, and I'll tell you why in a bit. Don't completely, just don't dump the 2 minute altogether. It can be done. It could be more fruitful than the 32 minutes if you just adopt a strategy that is relevant to your lifestyle, but more in particular, the 2 minutes. That being 3 trades a cycle, trade with trend. And by using your lot sizes in the 2 minutes and having correct risk management, you're going to experience a more frequent and a greater reward because of the way we've set up our tools, being it can work on the distance between the stop loss and the entry points. And with that, in relation to the correct risk reward management, or risk reward ratio rather, to follow. I hope I'm not getting too wordy. But what I'm saying is that you can make great trades on the 2 minutes as if you were trading the 32 minutes. So I wouldn't necessarily let go of the 2 minutes, just get more disciplined within it. Okay, and then patience, I'll definitely jump back to. All right, Dante, what are your struggles or experience? Your complaints or concerns? Oops. Dante, have you got a microphone access? Okay, so Dante's saying I'm having issues with catching the trade around open ball. Dude, okay, I think it's not the issues of catching the trade at open ball. It's the issues of, so I don't know if I should answer everything. Maybe because most guys are listening in, we can actually just get to the answer as we hear about it. So more of a McDonald's approach, get your food now, fast food, rather than wait for the restaurant to bring it out. So here's your fast food advice, or just the mechanism after that shape. Just by the way, it is pouring outside, like torrential rain, which we haven't seen in weeks and months. And my poor wife is out there picking up my son, and they're going to go to the store to get stuff. And my heart goes out to them whilst I'm nice and cushy with you guys. Okay, so that's an update from that cool story. So Dante, in terms of issues with catching the trade of the open ball, I don't think it's that. I think it's that you are still trying to be a cheater where you're not cheater as in like someone who crooks. You're trying to be a fast, wild cat instead of knowing your skill set and your pace right now. I think your attachment to the outcome is greater than the skill set that you've currently acquired. I'm saying with all due respect. The wanting to sprint ahead needs to be managed from a maturity aspect when you look at the lifetime of your trading career. If you want to jump out of your current circumstances now, the market's going to treat you badly if you don't do so correctly. So my recommendation is to always remember where you are at right now, where you're going next, and keep the long game in mind. Most Wall Street guys will only take profits after 5 years. Okay, idiots, because they don't know MTOPS and they're not writing the transitions as often as we can. Like, for example, in the 2 minutes, what more do you want? But those are the mature guys, and they've been beaten around many times to actually get to that piece of advice that they would give just random people that they meet in the street or anywhere else. Just hold on, think about the long game. And then that's very important over here. Charging the open ball when you're potentially not still only opening trades within the correct trend direction is going to create frustration. And obviously, one problem that is felt by a person could be felt by many people. So it's never like an attack on one single person. It's just a blanket advice for anyone who may be going through the same thing, knowingly or not knowing that they're going through the same thing. So that's my response to that. Going back to patience, Brett saying he's struggling with general patience all around. And again, I've got this all mapped out on the course, and I thought I had all the answers for it. I'm still here, just taking in some coffee. Another cool story is that today I was going to do some hardcore video editing and recording and all that kind of stuff. Last night, 40 minutes after I got to sleep, my son just loses his mind. I've never heard vocals on a kid as I did last night for no reason. I wasn't teething. There wasn't anything obvious. I don't know if it was a bad dream, but he would not leave my side. So from the hours of like 11:45 until 2, I was just trying to problem solve what was going on. And eventually at 2 o'clock, brought him into my bed where he perpendicular, like this, the way this kid sleeps needs to be made into a documentary. When I like I cuddled him a little bit, and then obviously he's a kid, right? So he kicks some bucks and he moves. And I said, okay, cool, fine. That's your little portion of the bed. I want to turn around. And when I did, he jumped me from behind with his blankie. And then one of those Charlie Brown blankies. He's always got a blankie with him. And then like he jumps on my head. And then I'm like, dude, what are you doing? So I move him off a bit, and he turns around and then puts the back of his head onto my head, falls asleep on my head. So his head is on my head. And then after 2.5 hours of what is going on, that's what got him to sleep. So that's now pushed us into 3 a.m. And then it was cartwheels and him trying to sleep, and I'm moving, and he wakes up, and then he sleeps all across along the row of like pillows at the top of the bed. I'm in the middle. It's been one of those days, right? And obviously, because I had the good intent of educating and getting stuff out today, it had to happen last night. And after that, I said, all right, cool. We've done our due diligence and I've sent the kids to school rather. As you can tell, my brain's all over the show. I said, all right, love, I need to have a sleeping tablet if there are any sleeping tablets in the house. And she said, no problem. And I had a sleeping tablet and around about 8:30 this morning, just trying to get to sleep for lunchtime and then get up and then do some trading with you guys. And of course, some video editing and maybe a late afternoon session as we are now, but for the course. That sleeping tablet didn't work. So I've just been, I don't know, stepping in and out of consciousness and obviously trying to keep positive and push forward. But my God, guys, like sometimes life is hella confusing, especially to those who are just trying to do a good job for others. I was speaking to Bobby and Bobby is going to be joining the team. Amanda's going to be joining the team. Josh is jumping back in. So we're going to start develop like a really powerful MTOPS team for the rest of the year and beyond, and start like really turning this into a business finally. And Bobby just said, no, dude, there's one thing I miss about MTOPS, and I haven't heard it for a while, and I need it in my life, and that is the mantra that we used to always open up the calls with, and that is can't stop, won't stop, keep going, let's go. After letting it go for a while, today is one of those days where I just felt like I need it back in my life. So if you're feeling the vibe and if you're going through any form of hiccups and headaches or setbacks or tiredness or pains in the body, whatever it is, please join me now and let's do a can't stop, won't stop, for all time's sake, and let's get it back into the swing of things. It's a culture, it's a beautiful thing to have, and I want to bring it back to MTOP. Right now, let's begin together as a group and breathe in. By the way, if you haven't done this before, we're doing box breathing. So it's can't stop, won't stop, keep going, let's go. So it's 4 up and then hold for 4, release for 4, and then hold for 4, and it's box breathing. So I just reset your system, get you focused, get you aligned with yourself. I know this is a bit random, but I think it's necessary. So join me if you want to. I'm going to kick off in 3, 2, 1. Can't stop, won't stop, keep going, let's go. And in. Can't stop, won't stop, keep going, let's go. And in. Can't stop, won't stop, keep going, let's go. And in. Can't stop, won't stop, keep going, let's go. Okay, so that's a bit about that. Okay, Brett, going back to patience, man. What I want you to start building into your consciousness is the impact of accountability that you may have to your family and to your surroundings. What I mean by that is when people open up a trade, and okay, let me take it straight. When I open up a trade, the weight of the world is on my shoulders. There is no one else to blame. I can't point fingers. It's absolutely 100% my decision in that moment. Not only is it my decision, so I can't blame anyone else. It is I want to say shame, but personal embarrassment and external embarrassment when positions don't work out, especially for trades that you really want to work out. Something dumb happens, you make a loss. And that's probably like the day after you've told maybe your spouse to say, please don't spend $300 on those shoes. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, like you're saying no to someone for something because the more capital you have to work with, the more profit you can make from it. As a trader, you don't want to just throw money at everything. The more you have, the more you can make with the more you have, right? So you're saying no to people for that reason, and then you make a loss. And you feel like such an absolute arsehole because you've said no to them. The loss is there. The money is nowhere to be found. You can't get that back. And there's this sinking feeling in your stomach, okay? And I've said this many times, detach outcome from the markets. And I say that I'm 100% there or majority of the way there, but I know it needs to be done. And when it comes to patience, as using the market as your like mentor, I would like those who are suffering with patience, which is almost everyone, because again, no one gets into trading to learn how to be patient. Again, that's not the vibe. If you're suffering with patience, dig a little bit deeper and ask yourself, what are the emotions that are messing me around when opening a trade and being in a trade? How accountable am I to others? What would this loss mean to me? What does the win mean to me? Am I prepared for success? Like sit with your stuff. Because what I've realized now is that, or not now, but as a more mature trader or experienced trader, is when I open a position, the more personal I take that position to my life, to my everyday, to reality, and to heart, the higher the risk that position is actually in. As my emotions are attached to price action, I get clouded because something weird happens within the Gantt square. And I just go, oh my God, man, why didn't I see that coming? I must have missed something. And I jump to the higher frame and then I do like all of this stuff. And by the time I get to the lower frame, I've missed certain key components of the movement, whatever it is. It's normally my emotions that are tanking me. And I think that with the emotional approach to the personal, what's the word I'm looking for? Impact, relevance. I'm gonna go with impact. The personal impact of what the markets can do for you and your family is so direct that it's incredibly difficult to put the emotions out the way. Because if you earn $1,500 on a trade, you're not thinking, yay, my account is up $1,500. You're thinking, what can I buy with this? Who can I give this to? How can I put this to my strategy? Do I leave this in? There's just so much real world attached to all the positions. If you're trading someone else's money, or maybe FTMO in a way, but you get to take the reward on it. If you're a Wall Street person and you get the sales guys phoning the business people with excess capital who are looking for growth in the markets, and then they shift it into their control, and then the brokers put the positions in and they do the research and financials, and that, like, the personal effect of opening a position is diluted exponentially because it's the manager's fault, it's the firm's fault, it's the economy's fault, it's someone else's fault. And then there's insurances and all these things to protect you. The key here is to try, find a way, whatever hack it is. And if you have a successful hack and it really works, please share it with everyone else, as we are emotional creatures. And opening up that position means more than I've analyzed the market, I've looked at this, I've got my kind of clear thinking in, I'm fresh, I'm focused, this is happening right now. It's more than your skill and your talent from a charting and forecasting aspect. Because when you cross that threshold into liability, responsibility, consequence, the attachment to not only outcome, but it's the consequence of opening up a trade at all. When you get wrapped into that environment, then you can be the most, a very weird portal of an alternate universe opens up. You've opened a trade after being logical, done your work, and then the fear hits and the consequence and the outcome and the please God and the all that kind of stuff. If you can find a way, neutralize, detach as best you can. I don't know. We've tried different ways to work around that. And this is quite a topic for many. So that's why I'm harping on it before we move on to the next. And one of them was to have a trade partner where there's a shared account. We got shared keys, and one person does forecasting and then the other person does trading. So they share the profit, but they have different roles. Unfortunately, lives became out of sync and that didn't really work out. Then going to maybe someone in the family that doesn't necessarily have the same emotional ties to it could also work, but then it's Russian roulette because I don't really understand the markets, or maybe it's a disagreement, like in terms of whether it's a good time to open one. So trying to involve other people didn't necessarily work out. Then obviously in the community, we had trade groups, we had people around the world, so the timelines, the time zones could work out. But even then, everyone's got their own personal thumbprint or signature rather, and some guys will agree, some guys won't agree. Like we'd have the contests in terms of, all right, So the majority agree to open this trade. Who's going to contend this trade? And let's look at it from a blind side perspective, operators team. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to have an open trade. It is very difficult. The forecasting, guys, you've seen me do it time and time again. I can do it in my sleep. I probably do it in my sleep. I can look at the market with the naked eye. I know what's happening next. It's that threshold of trading to get into that jump, that open, that consequence, that open position, that direct link into you. That's the challenge. That's the real challenge right there. If you can find a way to detach, please teach us how. And if it's a technical something we can build, please suggest it as well. I've had a few ideas, and we can move on from here shortly. I had a few ideas about having a restrictive setup where if price is in a kill zone, no trades allowed to be opened. If this, then. If this, then that. What we're working towards behind the scenes, just by the way, is creating the MTOPS guide, whereas you got a virtual trade partner that is going to be with you 24/7, is emotionless, will always pick up the phone if you need him, and give you unbiased results based on the MTOPS rule set. So when it comes to patience, what will always remain is that you're going to open a trade and close the trade. So the onus is always going to be on you, and your talent on the charts will always be primarily yours. From our side, we can develop a algorithm that will only operate on a quantum computer with neural links and whatever else, or neural networks, learning and machine and 100 million examples and all these other things, which is what we talk about often actually. And there could be a market condition where there's been a slippage, or a Dubai sheik wants to prove a point against some Chinese businessman, and they go at it at the markets and they make things go weird. You're always going to be in control overall. So with that said, please don't get lazy at the fact that we are working hard to get the emotional aspects of trading less and less. Rather, continue to work through all of your personal journey, hiccups and hurdles and setbacks, so that when there is a time where you do get the luxury of jumping into a automatic sports car, that the fact that you learned how to drive on a cheap stick, well, manual car with no assisted steering. I don't know if anyone here even knows about the days of cars without ABS and assisted steering and that kind of thing, and windows that you had to like wind down yourself. It's not button orientated. Because, like, for example, I've learned on vinyl, so laptops and anywhere else, any form of DJing means absolutely no challenge to me. But it's because I learned on vinyl that I then did automatic manual beat matching and all that kind of stuff. So there is no challenge. Whereas someone who might have an MP3 player, an iPod, and puts it in and tries to put songs together, could fall on his face if the smallest thing comes across as a challenge ROM. So always learn MTOPS, always master yourself. But with that said, we have identified the problem with patience and the problem with emotion, and that's because you guys just can't truly detach from accountability. And this is why the rich get richer, because they can. I know dickhead friends, and I say that with respect, who are comfortable losing $100,000. It's fun money for them. And those are the assholes, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but I get quite irritable at times. Those are the same guys who walk away with $400,000 up on the weekend, because it's that detachment. And it's not irresponsible detachment. It's not like just throwing money at the toilet. Like, there's just this point where successful people get to, where they get that. So Brett, going back to your patience, it's multi-layered, but I would always go back to, and obviously the MTOP skill, you can't drive a car if you don't know how to drive a car. So always make sure that your forecasting, everything is up to date, which is more than enough all the time here. But it's that emotional connection, that onus, that accountability, that consequence that you personally attach to an open trade, that more likely than not is the biggest villain and the biggest enemy. Cool. So that was 40 or half an hour I dedicated to 2 questions and a cool few other stories. I know about how I sleep at night and the weather outside. I think what we can do, maybe for those who are still available, well, we've got quite a number of guys. Okay, 17 guys. Let's try one quick question, and then we can jump into the next call and continue from there. Jason, are you able to chat? Hey man, do you have any bugbears other than Ethereum? What struggles or frustrations are you currently experiencing in trading or charting? Yeah, go ahead. Explain it to those who don't. Yeah, 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 yeah. I've got a guy that lands up on my feed quite a lot. His name's Andrew Hub someone, and in his advice today, like, you don't expect for these guys to even be in your feed, so don't follow him. He just pops up, and he said that the fake it to make it approach is outdated and didn't really work. The acknowledging of consequence or the fear, I don't want to really what his words are, acknowledging the fear of failing in terms of what you're about to do next is more motivational, and I think better for many who are trying to overcome this imposter syndrome. Because when you get onto stage and you're coming up in the world, you have to start building that evidence that you are going to be able to sustain this and become free from this. If becoming a Hollywood actor or actress or a professional sports person, as you made mention to, it's that threading into building in enough evidence to you get to a certain point where you cross over that point and go, actually, this is who I am now, where you've made that transformation into a new you that'll take you there. Who knows how long that'll take? Jason took 6 months. He's still at the certain points where it's almost too good to be true, which is quite a compliment, actually. And I'm super psyched and super stoked for him. And again, as you heard, he put the time, effort, and energy, and he deserves it. But I think the time span on something needs to be at a certain distance. And I'll be just speaking about jumping into the open ball trades when not necessarily getting the discipline and trading in with trend down as yet. And I think Jason actually brings up a great point that if you skim along the process and just skip to the end, you're actually going to suffer from, I'm not saying that this is the reason why he has it, but it's a good example for those who might be running into this one day. You're not necessarily going to feel as if you've earned it. And that's a very slippery slope in the sense of, if you have doubt that is creeping in more and more, and I think that's what happens with the guys who win lottos and they get rich overnight and then broken a few years after. If you have that doubt because you haven't really threaded in the confidence required from the obstacles that you've overcome, and you get to the destination, there's still open cracks where you can actually, I don't know, find room for improvement. I don't want to say anything too negative over there. And that's great. What more would you want it to be anyway? Like, this constant evolvement of self, this transformation, this metamorphosis of away from what's been, there's a part of the excitement and learning a new skill and doing things better than you've ever done before in the past. There's nothing at all saying to Jason that the stone business, the baseball, and trading is the end of the line for him. This is just another tool in his arsenal so that he can springboard himself into something far greater. Maybe one day he wants to create theme parks for his kids. Who knows what his future holds, but having the self-mastery that comes, and it's brutal, like having the overcome the punishment of mastering and dominating the markets and getting those golden keys to be able to tap into the endless earnings that a markets can offer. Because guys, there's over 6,000 markets at play right now. If you've got the capacity, you can have 10 liquid markets going at any given time. So evidently, hypothetically rather, with the right tech behind you, which is something we're building, you could seriously you can transfer wealth from the markets into your hands pretty quickly and pretty consistently. And with that, you create a even more expanded self. Imagine where Jason is right now with his imposter syndrome. Okay, she was just, yeah, I don't think he's having identity crisis, just for the record, just that label. But imagine Jason where he is right now. Imagine Jason at 10x. So where Jason is right now with all these accomplishments, he's a multimillionaire, all that kind of stuff. Imagine Jason 10x. Okay, this is the constant expansion. And I'm going to end off on this point. For those who want to skip ahead and not go through the actual correct process, it's going to send you further back before it's going to send you forward. So always remember that you got to transmute, solidify the confidence, transmute, solidify the confidence. And thanks, Jason, for jumping on. I have to cut it off now because Zoom's about to cut me off, and I'll get you into the next call. Okay, ciao for now. Oh, shit. There's a whole bunch of messages there. I'm not sure. Zoom. All right, so Jay, did you want to say, it's Jason on the call? I think you might have to run into normal business day meetings. All right, Darcy, what are the challenges that you're experiencing with trading right now? Hey, JC, I was like, who is Darcy, dude? And I've got random hitchhikers on this call. What's up, man? I'm grading yourself, JJ. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, by the sounds of things, you've come far quite quickly. And that's fantastic in the sense that MTOPS is a lot of stuff, man. Like, being a trader isn't driving up in traffic, opening up your cell phone, going to one of your crypto exchanges, buying Bitcoin, looking at your phone maybe half an hour later, and you've made 30% on your position. A lot of people have been sold that and then donated their capital to an exchange or to the market. And when it comes down to trading, it's multi-layered, which again is the reason why I've changed the structure of the course. And I had to get to this point to get to the maturity of being able to change the structure of the course, because the mentality of a trader needs to be adjusted first and foremost before the technicals and that kind of thing happens. Unfortunately, the finance industry is really, really poorly set up, because they'll lead you to believe, I'm just thinking they in terms of who's they. And those are the beneficiaries, actually. the guys who are telling you to brush your teeth with fluoride, probably the dental beneficiaries who are capitalizing from the decaying teeth that you're taking to them to fix. So this is a similar situation where guys out there are pushing out news. They are telling you that fundamentals are the core to fundamental analysis is the bigger thing to do, the more important thing to do when it comes to opening up a trade. And so many guys are just getting lost along the way and doing dumb things. There are actually traders out there who don't believe in technical analysis. That's how far gone this industry in terms of making money on the markets has really got to, which is terrible. Because then you get us and you get our crowd and you get the MTOPians. And if you scratch the surface, that everything is energy, experiencing energy, and that all you need to simply do is identify in trend the right place to get in, the right place to get out, do that again and again, and you're basically living the life. Now, the subtext and the catch to that is what it takes to get to that point is, once again, stop losing. Okay, so that's to detach your emotional involvement with an open position or an opening position. Okay, don't see real life consequence to that position, and don't trade tired and all those other things. So there's that mental component that guys are, especially guys, are very much okay with trying to sweep under the rug, but that rug is going to build up and is going to come back up. So there's that mental hurdle that you have to come over, especially when you got a busy day or if you got a week off of work. So you got all the pressure into that week to make it work, because next week you're back into a obligated day structure where you have to commit yourself to other people who depend on you, including clients, including your manager, and so on. And it gets like really difficult. So there's that aspect. Then on the charts, you have to know what you're doing. I've brought it down into the top 10 influences in my experience that the market has: trend direction, turning point spacing, scaling, kill zone. Then time is time projection and cube, the sine wave, oscillator we know about. Price projection works with the not the fan lines, the rays. Price projection also works with where time sits in terms of your forecast on the actual support and resistance segment of the thing. So there's that technical aspect, which people think is 99% of trading, which it isn't. That's just one of the core components of trading, but it doesn't stop there. It's then going into trading itself and using your exchange and learning what not to do. For example, and I'm talking to some of the guys who've been recommending having Ethereum on MTS. Like, it's all these bad habits that you have to go through to realize what not to do as well. To have a correlated markets, for example, as places where you want to have multiple positions open is just like senseless to me, because I've been there and I've done that and I've seen what Bitcoin can do to the sub-paired markets that it's attached to, and it's just catastrophic when something like Elon Musk sends out a tweet, say goodbye to 40% of your account just by one tweet, and then it obviously corrects and everything gets better. But instead of taking one stop loss, guys' portfolios just dived, and it wasn't fun to watch. I had nothing to do with it, of course. We actually got a few customers from him because I predicted it and showed that guys in terms of corrective energy and how MTOPS works and all the rest of it. So it was to my benefit, but those who aren't educated in that space felt the problem. So it's trading, right? So it's like your internet's going down, or a blackout happens unexpectedly, or you're out of Wi-Fi, or your stop loss wasn't set before, your battery died, or whatever the case. Like, trading's got its own technical realm to it. MTOPS has got its own technical realm to it. And then you've got to deal with your own personal shit and money wounds and that kind of stuff. So together, those who got into Bitcoin because they could sit in LA traffic and buy a position when they get into their car and hope by the time they get to a destination, they're $100 or $200, $300 richer from doing so, are just getting themselves sucked into, they're getting sucked in like a moth to a flame and getting burnt. And as Jesse was explaining what he's going through, there's the high frames, there's the confirmations, there's the moving markets, then there is the position sizing, then there's the patience, then there's the when not to trade. And these are all components that really need to be set with from an experience hours environment, time and time and time again. Jason mentioned earlier that now he's funded and guys are offering him, throwing $50,000 on his table and saying, trade for me and that kind of stuff. But Jason, I don't take this as actual advice, but I say, I don't live in America, but my recommendation is screw the government, dude. Just take it. Don't have any record of that 15,000. I don't know. Let's chat about that. America can work something out. America can do a joint account and we can share responsibility or something to that effect. Don't turn away money because it's well deserved. So Jason's going through like that imposter syndrome where he's come up very quickly. And now he's going to maintain that and then potentially expand that. If customers are going to him and offering him $50,000 to trade for them, okay? I don't know if it's a $50,000 account or $50,000 for him to have, because that's a bit different, I suppose. Then there's obviously a business that's waiting to happen. All right, so you got a client, you got a business. So there is all these side environments that can sprout from that. But to get there, it's all about the journey. So Jesse, to go back to your concerns at the moment, I think there was like multi-layered environments of it. My advice is just to stick with it. By the sounds of things, dude, like you've got your head in the right direction. You're feeling all the pain points that need to be felt. I don't hear anything that was outside of the MTOPS framework, which was really great to hear. But yeah, just stick with it, man. You can tell that you're the kind of character that will figure it out. Yeah, so my advice there, keep on keeping on. And well done, dude. You're doing absolutely fantastic. It's inspiring to see the results coming through. So congratulations. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, I can't wait to see some extra zeros at the end of those takes and coming up. Yeah, maybe speak to Jason and take on the client who's turning away. Yeah, Jason, give us your client. Okay. All right. So, Hugh, tell me about your frustrations and experience on the market of late, my friend. Hugh, are you able to chat, buddy, or are you in traffic? Yeah, there we go. Nice. Go for it. Yeah, what is it? Hugh, it sounds as if you're passing under a bridge, mate. Do you mind texting? Yeah, yeah. I think we need to speak to Justin Trudeau and maybe upgrade the internet in Canada by the sounds of things. There we go. Now you're clear. So you're in the FTMO challenge. What are you fighting? What are you feeling? Cool. Hugh, we're going to get back to you. Nothing coming through on the audio waves right now. All right. So who's next? Cool. Justin. Wow. It's very difficult to have, like, we're in 2022. You would think that microphones would be operating in this day and age. Like, I'm disappointed. I thought I'd be having flying cars parked in my garage. And now we're still battling with internet connection and microphones. Who would have thought? There he is. Cool. Yeah, we're good here. So tell us about your challenge. What are you feeling? What are your setbacks? On Telegram. Nice. 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 Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Nice. You're looking for something that's not there, dude. That's definitely a part of the trade journey. That's for sure. Yep, exactly. And you deny the long because you're just looking for that short. That's the thing, for sure. All right, Hugh, let's leave it there. I want to get through to some other guys. Just on that, I think what we're talking about today mostly, I would suggest, is Brett opened up with patience. I think Jesse spoke about patience as well. And we're getting, maybe also Dante. And now we've also got Hugh just talking about that. As in terms of detaching yourself from the emotion of the trade, I think a great way of achieving that has just been discussed. And that is systemizing your approach onto the markets. It's actually a lot easier to identify with, I'm trying to find the right word, not identify, to focus on your numbers and your score rather than the amount of time the game has left and perhaps the general well-being of what the team is feeling. I don't know if that's a good analogy. What I'm trying to get to is that if you focus on your numbers and your metrics and your score, then you're able to be more focused on longer win streaks, higher risk reward ratios. I'm making some money. Sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted with that. Oops, I need to go back to the unpause screen. And being more attuned to your performance from a numerological, I don't know how to say it right now, aspect instead of an emotional aspect. And patience can be quite well tamed if you attack it in a scorecard mannerism. So thank you, Hugh, for coming through on that. That's a really clever way of dealing with patience, is actually knowing your numbers. And again, this is in the new course and I wish I could do more. However, I'm also just trying to make it through the day, which becomes the night, which doesn't really act as the night. And then it's the next day again, and you're just tired from everything. If you know your numbers, your win ratio, your win streak, or win-loss ratio to be more specific, your win streak, your risk reward, your frequency of trading, the progress in terms of how closely you're working in line with your trade plan. These are how you can deal with patience, because now the consequence of losing a trade is not you feeling guilty or shameful or whatever it is that a person suffers through. It's more just a scorecard. And you go, and I'm not talking about the balance of the account, because that's obviously the ultimate score, but it's the pre-information. Like, I think American sports, I haven't been the biggest spectator towards American sports, but just by comedy movies and what people have to say about it, like, guys know almost every single thing that happens. Like, this person has got that many throws and that quarter and that, this and that, and they know the most random stats, but it's all like the pre-stats to the overall picture. So know your numbers and know your stats, and then focus on working on that. And by doing so, you'll be able to wait for the kill zone to form, because it's not worth it taking a loss on your win-loss ratio and like making that unfavorable. And it's also not worth it taking a slice out of your trade plan and having to rebuild that and make up for what you've lost to bring it back. Because if you this is what I've got in me, guys. I want to say goodbye soon, by the way. If Hugh on Friday didn't make that loss, what he made this week would be on top of what he had already been doing. And that means his challenge would have been basically a lot further in terms of him crossing over to the verification and then getting funded. And yeah, without repeating the same points in roundabouts, which I think I could have done, the ultimate thing is just to know your numbers. Again, it's a part of the course. I'm going to teach it as soon as I can. But until then, those are the different metrics that you would like to understand your own performance against. It's not only your lot size, it's not only your profit for that trade. It's actually that the foundational makeup to ensure that your results, your account balance growing, your exponential compounding profit, and your own performance in the market can be measured against these pretty standard, when it comes to the financial industry or trader industry, metrics. So again, I will be taught. Right now, I do feel that my brain is coming to a close, and I hear my kids screaming, so I'm going to say goodbye. And yeah, I would do a little bit of a update real quick. I wanted to have a look at the US30. I've got an open position that's very, very much treated me in a positive light here today. I'm struggling on this 512 in terms of not knowing if it's in or not. We're in a kill zone, so I'm going to leave it like that until it shows us other information. The 128 is clearly coming down. It's quite early for it too. Guys, it's always important to make sure that you have a view of the entire cycle, because if you're too zoomed in, you might misidentify turning points, and that's going to cause problems. Okay, so it's a bit early for 2. I'm going to let that kind of work itself out a bit to the downside. Kill zone here on the 32 minutes, which is what could be holding my trade back, and I'm glad I'm seeing now, because it could continue to the upside. So even if it goes a little bit, so even to like the 0.5 line, I don't have to work for the rest of the week from a trading perspective. And then the 2 minutes, yeah, the pull to upside is now giving me the confidence to jump in on that. I'm going to just reset that chart, set it up real quick. Okay, so that's 9, 10, 1. Okay, so that's a double bottom, which means that 3 should be, there we go. That's 2, that's 3, there's a double bottom. And then push the upside. 5 would need to happen over there somewhere. The question is 5 then going to 6? Let's have a look at that probability. Strong linear regression, but because of the higher frame, we see we're in a kill zone. I don't know if it's a good idea on whether or not we close it just yet. Let's revisit it, go to 32. By the way, Dante, this is how you analyze the market. All right, so still in kill zone, difficult to tell, but maybe it's just itching across there a little bit and then moving on. So I would say let's wait for it to get out of here, even though I'm already in it, and take the position from there. Worst case scenario is you take a stop loss, and then you have to make up for it later on, which is very possible in the US30. Absolutely adore this market. The US30 is like the highlight of my market, of my trading experience. Please get here eventually when you're ready. Master MTOPS, come on here and join us. That'll be fantastic. All right, that is literally it from me. I hope you have a great day further. If you have any further questions, please send them to the community chats. Otherwise, I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Ciao for now.